Porsche Exchange, it's all about creating a legendary ownership experience that embodies our guests' lifestyle. Our Porsche service team utilizes cutting-edge technology that delivers a transparent service visit and keeps us in constant contact with our guests. And I can't think of anyone more qualified to work on your Porsche, new or classic, than our Porsche certified technicians. Whether you're a longtime guest or new to our dealership, I welcome you to experience legendary at the Porsche Exchange. If you're a Porsche owner looking for reliable, convenient service without leaving the comfort of your home or office, look no further and take advantage of the Exchange at Home complimentary pickup and drop-off service exclusively at the Porsche Exchange in Highland Park.
After 7 events, it comes down to this. A classic of American sports car racing, Sebring will either shake them apart or strengthen their resolve. One thing's for certain, everyone better hold on because it's going to be a bumpy ride as we get ready to watch the PCA Sim Racing Series 10 Challenge Class live here on Podium Esports. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth tonight is Michael Johnson. Cameron Aubernon is on social media with Ryan Bauer producing, who's using cameras provided by Dougie Beer. But before we get to the racing, Series 10 is brought to you by the Porsche Exchange, which has been family owned and operated for over 40 years. Located on the North Shore of Chicago, the Porsche Exchange has grown to be the largest volume Porsche dealer in the entire Midwest. Along the way, they've won the Porsche Premier Dealership Award for many years in a row, and has been chosen to be one of the few Porsche exclusive manufacturer dealerships in the entire country. Find out more at 4Porsche.com or follow them on Instagram at Porsche Exchange. Also, Six Sigma Sim Racing is proud to announce the Season 10 Clean Driver Award. One driver in each PCA Sim Racing class will win a Six Sigma Sim Racing $250 merchandise gift certificate. This goes to whoever earns the fewest incident points and license penalty points from their best 6 races this season. For more information, head to sixsigmasimracing.com. Well, it's the last time that we'll see a race here for Series 10 on Podium, Michael, and I have to say they couldn't have chosen a better track.
Oh, absolutely. This track is, you mentioned something along the lines of bone shaking, bone jarring. It absolutely is. It has bumps. It has bumps on bumps. It has bumps with a side order of bumps, and it is thrilling at every single corner. You have so much fun. 3.7 miles to make a lap around here, about just under 6 kilometers, 17 turns. Every one of them has at least one name, and they are so much fun because they're so different. And you can set yourself up in one corner to really make a run to another corner or have a great defense. Just this track brings everything, and I absolutely love racing here, not just in the sim, but in real life. It is honestly one of my favorite tracks in North America.
It certainly puts on a show, and we've already seen that with the previous few, but part of the show is the championship. Now, unfortunately, things have been a little bit wrapped up already up at the top. Jonathan Reber, by our account, has clinched the championship due to his drop points. You don't see them here, but he's got 352 in his pocket, and that will put him out of range from Arnie Clayson. Mark Doran, unfortunately, is still out on injury, so he's not going to be able to do anything today. And then Randy Lervold, naturally, is also too far behind. Now, he's going to need some good results to catch up to Arnie. In fact, Arnie's going to need quite a bit to try and overtake Mark Doran for that second spot, but we could still see that change around before today is over. Closer battles are places such as for 5th between Lidback and Palmer, between Iwata and Legault, and McDonald down there for 6th. And then you could probably throw Scott Durham in there as a chance to maybe jump up. Or for 7th, not for 6th, excuse me, for him to be able to try and get in there. Now, before we get to the racing, a reminder that PCA Sim Racing social media offers in-race reports, breaking news, and announcements through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch. To subscribe, key in the platform name and add /PCA Sim Racing. So we are in the last bit of qualifying, and I'm checking to see, and it looks like everybody has completed their laps it is able to from here. They only get 3 of them, so our grid is already set for this evening of 16 cars. And on top of it, Jonathan Reber who is already clinched the championship, is going to be starting on the pole. Casey McDonald is going to be starting in P2 with Randy Lervold in third. After that, it's going to be Artie Clayson in the fourth position. Robert Goulet will be in P5, followed by James Legault in sixth, then Jeremy Main seventh, and Toby Schoen starts eighth. Stacey Iwata will begin from P9, flanked by Jack Stevenson in 10th. And of course, beyond that, you see Tom Crane there in P11. Then it's Robert Benson in 12th. Lisa Eskridge will begin in 13th. Chris Schuessler, 14th. Johan Nye, 15th. And Annie McCune in 16th. So not the biggest of fields, but still some important positions to be fought for here today as they're going to get gridded up in a moment. Now, we have to remember that Challenge is different from the other races or other classes, as they will have a 15-minute sprint and then a 40-minute feature. This first race will be their sprint, and their finishing position will determine where they start in that feature. And while there are points on hand here, that feature race awards so many more. It's going to be a much more important one. So if you have a bad one, you can try and bounce back. It will lose you a few points, but you need to make sure that you can try to get back in it for the feature itself, as we see them lining up now here, Michael, getting ready to go. And one thing we've seen in the previous races as well that is appropriate for this track is they will lose light by the end of the event tonight. So when it comes to that feature race, it's going to be getting pretty dark.
Yeah, but it makes it exciting. I love the night race here, as looks like we're heading off the line right now. Or sorry, not off the line, but looking to sunset as the sun sets to get this race started.
Indeed, they thankfully have a short pace lap on both the races, so we're ready to go very quickly, and Reber's going to have control of the field. What kind of start is he going to get, though? And there it is. Green flag is out as they accelerate away. McDonald doesn't have the greatest of jumps. In fact, Lervold was challenging, but he's lifted. He's not going to try and do anything down into turn one, maybe just in survival mode here as they cycle down into a single file line for the most part at the front of the field. Behind them, it looks like we're good, and we're down to turn three.
Yeah, and I got to say, a very nice move from Eskridge there as she cut up under the inside on turn one in that pink machine and just was able to squeak that car by, moving up from P13 a couple of spots, looks like, to P11. So nice move.
Goulet unfortunately had a bad exit out of turn 5, has lost himself some spots down to 7th as they now break into the hairpin with Reber still leading. Whoa, and now it looks like Jeremy Main is off. So he is out into the runoff area, as I believe that's also James Legault with him. They're going to cycle to the very back of the pack.
Yeah, it looks like Robert Benson and that Coca-Cola machine also having a little bit of an issue as we go on board here with Arnie Clausen. Arnie in P4 from the start of the race, still stuck in P4. But you know what? This is just the first race of the night, and this is the short 15-minute one. So I think we've got some time for Arnie to work his way up and just kind of feel out what's going on around him. Might be able to make a little more movement in that next race.
In fact, the top 5 have not changed positions since the start, including Robert Goulet. Well, that's a bit of a fib. He changed positions, but he's back where he started in that 5th spot after those two went off in front of him. So we hop on board with Toby Schoen in the meantime. He's gained 1, but ahead of him, Stacey Iwata is actually up 3.
Wow, good move from Stacey Iwata, which is just a fantastic place to be. In front of Toby Schoen, you don't want to be behind him because he's hard to get around. So Stacey getting into a good position, looking forward towards Robert Goulet. Still got about half a second to get there, but taking a look off that rear wing or out the rear window under that rear wing, this is an interesting spot to be, because now the draft, because you're going so fast down here, and it looks like we've got a little bit of a look up underneath as they go into turn 1, and that is going to be done and dusted.
Clean move from Toby, and in fact, that's going to catch out Iwata, who has to check up off of the corner. Oh, down into 3, a little bit deep for Jack Stevenson, and that is going to set back Toby Schoen. He loses the position he gained, as well as a couple more.
Yeah, that's going to be taken a look at by the stewards, I'm sure. That was a bit late to get in there. it could have been maybe came over on him, but I don't think he had position really when they were going into turn 3 there. So I would expect to see some action by the stewards on that particular move.
Coming down to the hairpin, quite a pack here towards the middle of the field, starting up with Lisa Eskridge in 8th, and the train goes all the way back essentially down to Jeremy Main, who unfortunately is going to leave this train because he's been given a black flag for causing the incident down to the hairpin on that first lap. We're going to check in with Robert Benson smack dab in the middle of this group, though. That is James Legault just in front of him.
Yeah, this whole little pack pretty tight. It's only about half a second up in front of him, but I think he really is chomping at the bit to get up there, make up a little room. But front this whole pack is going to be Lisa Eskridge. So she's moved up from 13th as Toby Schum goes off again. I wonder if he has any damage from that contact that happened at turn 3.
Could be, but that was also out of Tower, and that is a place notorious for catching drivers out in the way that he did, I think, because I think he caught a little grass on the exit, but he's got it going. He did have some contact with the Armco, though.
Yeah, taking a look at that rear wheel arch, it looks like he had some of it missing. So I'm going to guess there could be some damage on that rear end, which does make Tower pretty difficult. Not that I know that from experience or anything.
He's going to get attacked by Andy McCune down into Sunset Bend. Tries to cut back, and he's into him. And the two of them come together and smack into the outside tire barrier pretty darn hard. Let me check, and it looks like Toby does have a black and orange flag, so he's going to have to get it repaired. But I think Andy McCune has managed to get away with it. Jack Stevenson also gets a black flag for making that contact with Toby Schum not long ago.
Yeah, not a good night for Toby, and actually it looks like Andy McCune, I think I heard over the radio, had apologized for that contact. Looked like kind of shared to me, but I don't know, I wasn't in the car, so it's hard to tell.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. From my initial view, it seemed like the presentation was okay and kind of a racing incident, but we'll see what the stewards' take on it is, as I'm sure they'll take a look at that in a moment. In the meantime, coming off of the hairpin once again, Benson still chasing. This time it's Tom Crane just in front of him. Don't think he's within striking distance, though, as they break for Cunningham. In fact, Tom's going to defend just a little bit to make sure he can't.
Yeah, this pack is starting to open up a little bit. You see the pink car there. That would be Eskridge. She's trying to open up that gap, and she's very happy to see Crane and Benson just going at it like hammer and tongs in her rear view mirror. So she has an opportunity to pull away from the Heart of Dixie region. Started up in P13, or back in P13, all the way up to P9, making a really nice run here today.
Yeah, 4 positions up, and Stevenson's also 4 up, but that's going to change soon as he serves his penalty, which should leave Lisa Eskridge with the hardest charger for a bit. Remember, this is a short race. We're already down to 9 minutes to go, so expect this one to be done sooner than you know it as we check in with Jonathan Reber, who is only about 2 seconds ahead, so he hasn't distanced himself too greatly.
Well, Casey McDonald was only a couple of tenths off in qualifying. Now, in practice, the gap was a good bit more, but sometimes, you might consider sandbagging a little bit in practice. You don't want to give too much away. I don't know anybody who do that personally, but, well, yeah, actually, I do know a lot of people who do that. So, yeah, could have been sandbagging a little bit, then just trying to watch. And looks like trying to close this up. Right now, it's about 1.5 to 2 seconds. If he closes this up just a little bit more, he's going to be in a really nice range for draft. So if he can pull a draft out of this, I think that's an opportunity for Casey to be able to catch up to Jonathan.
And he's only 15 points behind Legault in the championship. As, down into the corner, and Benson takes out Lisa Eskridge. In fact, behind them, it looks like outbreaking himself in sympathy. That's Chris Schuessler who joins them.
Oh, and that's going to be a tough day for Lisa Eskridge. She was way up there. Through no fault of her own, all of a sudden gets taken out. Let's take a look at the replay here. We saw this happening. Watch as, I believe it was Benson, pops out here and just misses the braking point. It's pretty clear by that point. And when the smoke comes off the tires, you know it's all over.
Yeah, pretty much. Almost looked like Lisa maybe could see it coming last second and tried to open up the corner a bit, but too little too late, and she got punted off. So she's down in 11th now. Schussler actually managed to get up to 5th despite going off himself. And Johan Nye also up 5 positions. So Schussler in 9th, rather, excuse me. He's up 5 positions. Johan Nye up to 10th. Checking in with Robert Goulet here in the 5th spot. Whoa, that's way wide there for Arnie Clayson. But the two of them come back together as they exit the corner and eventually reach the same racing line off to the right.
So I think Casey McDonald may have had some issues while we were watching that tire lighting ceremony back there, because right now Randy Lervold is caught up and is really pressuring onto him at this point. So here we are on board with the P3 car, Randy Lervold, just trying to inch up here. But I think McDonald, whatever the mistake was, feels like it's time to open it up. Still holding at about 8/10, but that's going to be mitigated just a bit by that draft.
I was able to track down what caused it. Casey had a major slide into Sunset Bend and had to actually gather up the car twice, I'd say, before he really was able to get control of it. So this is coming off the corner here. It's going into it. There it is initially. That angle doesn't really tell the story, but you can see as he goes wide, he's still trying to chase it, and eventually he gets it under control.
That's when you come on the radio to the folks on the pit wall and you just say code brown, and they know exactly what's going on.
All right, this should give us a great perspective here into the corner. Oh, it was turning way too early. Rear was wanting to come around, and then it didn't want to turn. And eventually it agreed with them, and they came to a conclusion there exiting the turn. But like you said, it's about 3.5 seconds up to Reber now. It was costly.
Yeah, this is going to be Reber's race to lose at this point. He's so far out there, but McDonald still got a little bit of a race of his own. He's going to have some fun with Lervold. I think Lervold trying to hold on here, still within that range. But here we are back on board with Robert Benson, trying to maybe make up for that mistake earlier on. Closing up nice here up onto Schussler and Lisa Eskridge right in front of him. So this is going to be a nice little battle. Let's see if he can hold on to those brakes again and just not slide into anybody.
Well, Benson's going to really have to make up for his mistake because he's also gotten a black flag for that contact. Lisa obviously trying to carry on, hopefully without too much damage of her own. Chris Schussler in between the pair of them. And this is coming down the backstretch that you've seen Lisa lead the way in 10th position. Let's see if anybody has to take some repairs here or if they're all good. We know that Benson's likely going to be coming in this time, but as they exit the corner, the first two stay out, and then Benson must come in.
I'm thinking Eskridge might have done a little fakey there, trying to make it look like she was going to go into the pits, trying to maybe shake that attack coming from Chris behind her, but didn't seem like it worked. I think she's kind of trying to hold on to that position. I wonder if she does have any damage. Taking a look at a replay here, though, this is going to be Arnie Clausen, who's back in P5 currently. Ooh, this is looking a little wide. Yeah, I was going to say that's a late break to get into that corner. But, you can not hit the wall there and make the most of it, not lose too many positions.
Yeah, since they changed it in the early 90s and pushed the hairpin back, they have room to go off a little bit more. But he did lose a position. Robert is now into 4th place as they continue battling here between Lervold and McDonald for 2nd place. An update on Stacy Iwata. He has hit the wall coming out of Tower as well. We said this is a difficult circuit, and this is exactly what we've been talking about. A lot of drivers making their own mistakes.
Yeah, and the bumps just don't help with that here. The bumps really amplify everything. If you have a little bit too much steering input, it becomes a lot as soon as you hit one of those bumps the wrong way. Here we take a look at Stacy Iwata coming in. Looks a little bit, a little bit quick. Got too far outside, and bam, right on that inside wall.
That's a big hit on the inside wall, so that could be some serious damage. But this battle's getting very close. Ever since McDonald had his hiccup into Sunset Bend, he's been under threat from Lervold. It's down to about half a second between the pair of them, but they only have 2 laps left to go. So Casey just has to keep him at arm's length here.
Yeah, this is looking to be a little bit more difficult than I think Casey imagined Lervold's really putting in some good laps here. I've been watching very closely, watching the lap times, and it seems like staying relatively consistent through there. Consistency really is key at a track like this, and look how it's paying off. Right now, it looks like about 6 or 7 tenths between the two, and that's a good place to be with only 2 minutes to go. This gives them a perfect opportunity to take advantage of some of those longer straightaways, close it up, put a little pressure, and maybe, just maybe, get Casey McDonald to make another mistake.
We'll try, but it's now gone up to about 1 second. He had a horrible section there at the last bit. Speaking of horrible section, the tire tracks go all the way off to the tires, and I think Arnie Clayson has hit the wall here.
Ooh, this isn't going to be good. Let's take a look at this replay as Arnie now all the way down to P7, not having a good first heat here. Comes up to the corner into the braking zone, tries to hit it, but no, just a little bit late on the brakes. That first line back there is pretty much where you want to brake. But that touch on the wall, not too hard. I don't think it's going to affect the car too much. But the time sitting in the grass, well, that's not time on the racetrack, so that's going to make for a slow lap.
Yeah, so the tire tracks didn't tell the entire story. It was just a very slow hit out there. But this man has not been slow at all. Jonathan Reber's on his final lap of the race. It's up to 3.5 seconds. McDonald's responded to Lervold, rather, and it's up to 1.2 between second and third place. Let's see if Jonathan can keep it up and get max points, not just for qualifying at the top, but also getting the first win. Right now, it's been looking like a pretty flawless race here to kick things off.
And he looks very relaxed behind the wheel there. I think he's really just kind of jamming around the track, doing what he's got to do. Not too concerned with perfecting every corner. You don't need to at this point. There's no point in pushing it. Ooh, and Jonathan Nye looks like going off there. Ooh, that's not good. Right up against the wall. I don't know if he's got a little more damage than we saw with the other car with Clausen a few minutes ago.
I'm not seeing a black and orange flag, so I think he's okay. Is there such a thing as director's curse? Because our director had just pointed out that he was up 7 positions, and as soon as he said that, the car nosed into the barrier, so he's back down to 5. But at least he's running.
At least he's running, but yeah, the director's curse, it only happens in our ears. The public doesn't get to hear that one.
So as we continue to follow our race leader up to 4 seconds now, he's still pushing out there up at the front and extending himself from the rest of the field. Jonathan Reber looking to try and take another perfect score. His first one of the season was last time out at Watkins Glen, despite having a few wins in the process. As Jonathan Reber comes up to the final turn and around Sunset Bend, the checkered flag comes out in the sprint race as the 147 machine is going to win the first of the evening here at Sebring.
And taking a look here, looks like Casey McDonald's been able to open up that gap over Lervold just a bit. I think Lervold may have been trying to push too hard and just kind of overdrove it a little bit, but still a very respectable third place for Lervold there with, looks like Gallet coming in 4th, Legault coming in 5th. It looks like it's going to happen.
Yep, Legault comes around with a gain of 1. Robert Gallet, remember he had a mistake on the very first lap, recovered well, picked up a bunch of spots in the process. As Tom Crane, looks like Lisa Eskridge, Chris Schussler, all 3 are looking at a gain of 5 here in the sprint race. Not too shabby. It's always harder to make positions with this race being so short. They're only doing 9 laps in this quick little event. We'll see if they can pick that up next time. It's certainly going to help them, Michael, in the next race because they're going to be starting where they finished.
Yeah, and I think they only got 8 in this one. It depends on, this track is right at that 2-minute mark, so you could get that extra lap in there depending on how it falls. Looks like only got 8 out of this one, but 8's enough. Kind of like the 80s TV show, right? So anybody remember that one out there? I'm sure you do, right, Joe?
I actually don't.
You don't? Oh, my God. Way to make me feel old. Thanks.
But yeah, no, I apologies. I was looking at cars that had crossed the start-finish line, so it set them on lap 9. So you're right. It is only 8 laps for this race. The last of them coming across as Robert Benson will be the final of the 16 that managed to finish all 8 of those laps. Well, here's your results for that first sprint race. Jonathan Reber in with the win, as Casey McDonald was second. And then Randy Lervold will finish P3. Robert Goulet managed to get fourth, followed by James Legault to get a top 5. Tom Crane finished sixth today, followed by Arnie Clayson, unfortunately only in at seventh. Lisa Eskridge was P8. Chris Schussler ninth, and Johan Nye rounds out your top 10.
Looking at P11, Stacy Iwata having a little trouble falling back. Jack Stevenson, P12. Lucky number 13, well, we saw how that went for Robert Benson. And 14th is going to be Toby Shum with Jeremy Main and Andy McClune being one lap down in 15th and 16th.
So they get a little bit of a brief warm-up here to practice. Oh, look at that beautiful shot that we've got here in between with the sun glistening off the cars parked up in the infield of the track. Certainly a beautiful sight here at this circuit, known for its wonderful sunsets, because it even has a corner named after such. But this should be fun to watch, because this also means we should have some drivers that are going to be out of position. I'm looking at guys like Jeremy Main, Robert Benson, that probably should be much higher up the order.
Yeah, but it makes for a fun race, honestly. So I find sometimes, every once in a while, one of those races where you just didn't qualify well, but you knew you had the race pace. You get into it, and you're just having a blast working your way back up to the podium. And even if you're only 4th or 5th, if you started in 10th, 12th position, that's a great race. So this is the last race of this particular, 10? So I think they're going to enjoy themselves and just kind of take the points they can get and just do everything they can to enjoy the race.
I agree. I think it's going to be more, considering it is mostly the positions that are a little farther down in the points, it'll be just about having a good time out here and maybe trying to learn what they can, because we have to remember this is the lowest of the 4 classes that we usually cover here on Podium. The challenge class, above them they've got the sport class that we had last night, then it goes to club, and then at the top is pro, naturally. And this is essentially, once you get out of entry class, if you're kind of just cutting your teeth a little bit, this is where you're trying to learn and progress and get a little faster, a little more consistent. So wonder if this is one of those where if the pressure for the points is mostly off, Michael, you try and use what you can to make this a learning race, if you will.
A learning race, a good time. It's a great track for trying to learn. And I wonder if it's going to cause a problem to comment on how well turn 1 went on lap 1 of the last race. Not that I'm wishing any ill will on anyone, but honestly, going through turn 1 on that first lap of the previous race, or the race we just watched, everybody looked really good, very solid, no crazy dives, but this track is known for crazy dives into turn 1. It'll be interesting to see, because you've got about, 15 car widths through there. It's really wide as you're coming down the runway, but then you get onto that little taxiway, and it's hard to fit, especially these super wide RSRs. 3 cars across the track, that's all the room you've got. So you're going from like 5 wide, maybe into 3 wide, if you're lucky. 2 wide is even difficult. So it'll be fun to see how that goes.
I mean, honestly, the beginning of this one was a lot cleaner than what we witnessed in both the sport and the club classes these previous few races. So, I agree that went a lot better. We were hoping last night that we would get a good one for this one. It was honestly bad enough on the club race that after the race control spoke to the drivers and gave them, the disappointed dad talk, essentially, that like, you guys can do better. We should see it next time out, which unfortunately isn't going to be for a few months, but that gives them a lot of time to stew on what happened.
And I'd like to point out that exactly that has happened in a professional series here in the United States. There are 2 major ones, and I race in both of them. So, I can tell you we've been called to the principal's office at our level too. So it's nothing to be ashamed of at all. It's kind of paying your dues. It's part of the rite of passage. You're going to do some stupid stuff, and you're going to have a good talking to after the race. It's never fun, but it happens to everyone.
I'm sure it's enough of a blow to the ego of the drivers that they will try their best to shape up next time. No difference in the order that we read out just a moment ago for the grid. So this is the same as how they finished in that sprint race for your 16 starters. And as you expect, they're pretty much all out there as quickly as they can. I think we are waiting on Jeremy Name, though, to put himself on the grid, which doesn't look like he's left. So yes, there he is now. We're going to be ready to go, and pace car should be taking off and leading them around that final corner once again. All right, you've done it once out there, drivers. Now you just got to do it again. Keep it clean through the first few corners.
And there goes the pace car. And I'm just curious, do you really think race car drivers have egos? I didn't think we had those.
That's not a think, that's a no. Spent enough time around them that I feel pretty certain on that front. Meanwhile, as we come around through Sunset Bend, pace car peels in. Jonathan Reber once again going to try and lead the way, but he's way behind the car of Casey McDonald. Is that going to be a black flag for McDonald? It is. He's not allowed to start ahead of Reber, and he's going to pay for it.
Yeah, he looks like he thought, looked to me like he thought Reber was going to go ahead and jump like he did the previous time. But kind of got caught out there and couldn't, if he'd have slowed down too much, he would have gotten rear-ended most likely. But I got to say, once again, they made it pretty clean through turn 1. And even through 3, 4, I'm going to say 5. Can we make it through there? We've even got some 2-wide action going on back there with Tom Crane, and I didn't see who else that was. But wow, that was pretty good.
The drama last time was down here into the hairpins. So let's see what it looks like this time as they come through. And so far, so good. Yeah, that's a nice run through the corner. Now, unfortunately, Casey's actually given that spot back to Jonathan, but it's akin to shutting the gate after the horses have bolted. He's still got that black flag. It's not going away for doing that.
Yeah, that's pretty much an always rule. I don't see them not giving the penalty, but I guess there's probably somebody in the steward's room flipping through the manual to make sure there's a rule to cover for that. So I'm sure PCA does have a rule on that, but I race under so many different flags, and we got somebody off. Oh, in contact.
Stacy Iwata, and it looks like, whoa, more contact, the car flipping over. There it is. There's the messy start, and that is, I think, Andy McCune, who disappears into the ether after the car went over the barrier, unfortunately. So that was a few victims involved in that one. Somebody in the background popping out, thinking about maybe a move, looking at 3 wide even. That's James Legault with Robert Goulet, and Arnie Clayson is packed up behind them with no place to take the car. He is still going to be able to carry the speed into the corner, but that yellow and black polka-dotted machine is going to have to give it up as Arnie slips through into 5th, Legault into 4th.
Yeah, Arnie did a nice job getting the nose up under there, but I got to say, there was a good job by Goulet by not trying to close that door, racing properly. That is great situational awareness. He's got time to get that corner back, or that pass back. There are 37 minutes left in this race, 37 and a half minutes left in this race. Plenty of time. So, yeah, don't worry about it. Just figure out how the other guy races and then go at it later.
So Toby Schum has had to come in to get a spare car due to damage. Stacy Iwata, naturally, Andy McCune had no choice with the car flipping. And we still got Casey McDonald out there. He has not pitted in yet. So I don't know if I haven't heard him try to plead his case, granted. But I'm not sure if he is maybe trying behind the scenes through text chat that we're not seeing or something. Regardless, he has not yet served his penalty. He has roughly 3 or 4 laps, I can't remember which it is, before the sim will automatically DQ him. So he'll have to serve it if we don't get a message from race control that's taken away. Stacy Iwata was given the blame for that big incident coming out of Tower. He got another black flag himself.
Yeah, looks like a meatball flag to boot on that one. So, yeah, not only was it the black flag, but there's also a lot of damage on that car. Probably not going to make it back out would be my guess. But meanwhile, let's take a look at what's going on here. This is a pretty tight little bunch we're watching. I think we're going to see some action. I think this little trio, we're going to see a little bit of back and forth from them. I don't think it's going to be one pass and another pass and another pass. I think we're going to see some back and forth here with this group.
Well, that's if Casey manages to get them to take the black flag away, which I honestly don't think is likely, because he's one of that trio out there. But Lervold is in behind, doing a great job here at the start. We're on lap 3 now, and he's still within about 1.2 seconds of Reber. So even if McDonald pulls off the track to serve his penalty, Randy is still very much within range.
Yeah, Randy closing it down now even. I wonder if Reber had a little bit of an issue, because Lervold being able to use McDonald does help just a little bit. So I think he's got a bit of a chance at 1.5 seconds. Even that's going to be close enough to catch a bit of a draft. So the longer McDonald stays out there, the more of a chance Lervold has to be able to close this up. Now coming down into the braking zone here, hard brakes, careful not to lock him up. Got to take that inside. You can hit a gob of that dirt on the outside though of the hotel corner, and then just mash the gas. This twisty straightaway. It is absolutely a straight as we head all the way down here to Cunningham.
Yep, no braking or lifting through there, but all three are going to stay in order now as they head through Collier, and you can start to see some of the loss of light that I was mentioning now that we're into the second race. And most of the races that we've had so far in the past 2 weeks have pretty much ended in complete darkness with just a sliver of light on the horizon. We'll see where this one winds up with the extra 5 minutes essentially that they have out there. Still not seen. Well, no, Iwata is in pit lane, and looks like he served it. Yes, Iwata's back out. He served his penalty. He's gotten his spare car, and he's running. But we're still waiting on McDonald here to pit in. Let's see if he does it this time by, or if he's going to tempt fate. Reber's now stretched himself to about a second beyond Casey McDonald, so he's turning up the wick himself and putting himself a little bit farther away. And yes,
there he goes.
Indeed. Yep. With a grimace, McDonald has to come in and serve his black flag. Meanwhile, this is going to promote Legault up onto the podium.
Oh my God, the grimace. Yes. Okay.
I had to get it in there.
You caught me off guard with that one, and it hit like 3/4 of a second after you said it. And I got caught up in it. I was laughing too hard. But here, let's take a look at Lisa Eskridge. She has worked her way back. Looks like in P7 now. Now, part of that is helped by Casey McDonald having had to take that drive-through penalty. And she is still behind Chris Schussler. So that's still a good race going on, holding onto that position. Robert Benson, though, right behind her, and looks like P9 right here. Jeremy Main not letting Robert Benson go. So this is another little bit of action that I think we can see. Robert hopefully has learned his lesson about that late braking, though, going down into the corner they're coming up to now.
Yeah, so Maine having gained quite a few spots from those who have wrecked, but hey, a spot's a spot, and now he's got about 3 cars in front of him to potentially overtake here for position. First up is Robert Benson there in the blue machine. We know Maine is relatively quick because he qualified 7th. He's only sitting in 9th right now. Theoretically, should have at least close of a pace to these drivers out here. Meanwhile, Benson's sizing up Lisa Eskridge a little bit as well.
Yeah, looks like trying to close up there, but yeah, looks like he may have gotten around Eskridge. Nope. Looks like Eskridge is still trying to push closer and closer to Chris Schussler. I don't know if she's going to be able to make that push, though, but looking right here, yeah, that's her right on the left side of your screen. But the big battle that we're watching, this is Benson and Maine still really going at it. Benson down to about 2/10, maybe a little bit less, getting a little bit of an overlap as we head down to Sunset Bend. But, oh, looks like Eskridge is going to tuck in behind. Yep, tucking in behind Chris. Just get a little bit of draft. Now we're going to have a 2 wide by 2 wide. Eskridge makes the wide run around the outside. Can she make it stick? Staying out of the wall, gets the power down, heading towards, oh, beautiful pass.
I thought she was heading into the wall. How did she make that work?
I'm going to say talent. I think she had that talent right when she needed it.
No. It didn't work a second time. That was definitely too wide as well. And she loses all 3 positions and falls back down into 9th. Unfortunately, Benson goes by, Schuessler and Main. Look at that. Main got all 3 of them essentially in about 2 corners.
Okay, so I'm going to switch my talent call to Main now, because sometimes just sitting back to watch is the right way to do it. And that was pretty smart. I saw the little bit of a move, and then actually we're going to watch the replay here. Let's take a look at this. So there's Main, the yellow car in the back here. Now watch the pink car closer to us. She's taking advantage of that draft. Then she pops out to the left side, knowing that the car in front of her is off position and needs to overbrake just a little bit. Now, right here, it's like, that's the point where, oh my God, she's going to hit the wall. No, she doesn't. But look at that. Look where Main is. Now he's the 3rd car in this pack. Coming up into turn 1, he's going to be the 2nd car in the pack until Eskridge goes too wide here. Not the number 2, but 2 TOO wide out there and just skims along the wall, and boom, right out front. Just as neat as that.
So that's a very quick job done for Jeremy Main, now up to 6, but he's got to make up about 10 seconds to catch the next car. Definitely possible, since we still have about 30 minutes left in this race. Watching from Benson, still got Schuessler just in front of him, and they're dropping Lisa Eskridge, unfortunately, as she's lost a little bit of time. Yeah, there is the big gap behind them. Coming down into Sunset Bend, there is a good example of just all the different lines you can see cars taking.
Yeah, I often say it's sometimes called turn 17, sometimes called Sunset Bend. The reason it's called turn 17, there's 17 ways in, there's 17 ways out, and they're all correct.
A little bit of a defensive move there for Schuessler down in the first turn, though, and Benson catches up a little bit because of it as we now hop on board with the Rennsport region driver, breaking down into turn 3 and getting ever closer, creeping up to that rear spoiler.
Ooh, and this is a good launch, good timing coming out of there. Ooh, that was tough. I think he was just a tiny bit too close. Now he's got the opportunity, though, to hold onto that left side, make him go defensive. Schuessler's going to have to stay defensive as we come down here into the braking zone for the hotel corner. Goes a little bit wide. Looks like Benson's able to hold on to the apex. Just can't quite get back to the power quickly enough. But there's still that beautiful run, or that beautiful opportunity to be made on this run down to Cunningham.
Let's not forget that we've got a pit stop in this race, so drivers still have strategy to play out, and maybe this could be something worth using for some of these drivers that are stuck in the thick of battle here as we watch from on board Schuessler looking back at Benson, who's trying to undercut him and gets a little bit of a better run, but not quite there. The 71 is going to pull in right behind him once again.
Yeah, good. Making just another room, going through Bishop's Bend here, trying to close it up, but no, look at that. Just didn't have the line. But that battle is allowing Eskridge to close back up. She's only about 8/10 off of Benson now, so she is in a good position. As long as she keeps that car on the black stuff, she's going to have a good opportunity to close up. And the P6 out at the front of that train with a good gap of about 3 seconds over Schuessler.
Yeah, he's running away. Well, they're kind of messing around. He is just trying to gap them as best he can. Also a lapped car in front of them. That's Andy McCune. Remember, unfortunately, he was basically forced to take a tow to pit lane when he was sent flying over the Armco and down into the first turn. Yep, that's very sportsmanlike out of Andy. He knows this is not his battle. He's going to stay out of the way.
Yep, unfortunately, it looks like Eskridge gets caught up a little bit in that, but I don't think it's going to be too much damage. She's going to be let by here. Yeah, doing the right thing, staying out wide, letting her cut through. Although maybe a little more communication could be helpful. I don't think she was quite aware of what he was trying to do.
Yeah, that cost her a lot of time, unfortunately. But passing lapped cars is definitely a skill, and that'll be one that she'll probably try and sharpen in the off season. Down into the braking of the hairpin. Benson keeps getting closer on the binders, but I wonder if he's sacrificing too much on the exit with that, Michael.
Yeah, well, he lit up that right rear tire when he went into the corner, so he's trying to hold on. And, Arnie Clausen has got a reconfiguration of that rear wing. Don't think it really works well in that position.
Takes his spare car. Not sure where he got the damage as we go side by side for a little bit, coming down through Collier. That takes some brave stuff, but doesn't quite work out. Schuessler's still fending him off. Chris is doing a phenomenal job on this, playing defense. I feel like he's opened the door a few times, and yet despite that, Benson has not been able to put his foot through.
Yeah, Benson is having, I think you really hit the nail on the head. Benson's having a really good corner entry, but it's the exit. As we watch here, wow, I think Schuessler really missed that apex, and I don't know if Benson scared him off of it, or if it was just trying to brake too late. Benson's got a good position here. There is a bit of overlap, just a tiny little bit, and takes up the inside. There may have been contact with the wall on that. Yeah, there was contact with that one, but it was very light, very, very light. But that puts Eskridge right back into the game.
It was a late move, and it was on, and it was off, and then it was on, and then it was off again. But unfortunately for him, he is behind and might have got a few scrapes on the car. Now Schuessler has the track position back in that 7th spot. Oh, but he's out braking himself down into turn 3. Still nothing for Robert Benson.
Yeah, I keep telling everybody I work with, braking late is fine, braking too late, not so fine. And you really have to work on your exits. The exit is where it's more important. The exit's where you're going to get that consistency that you're looking for. And I think it was Wyatt Earp said, fast is fine, but accuracy is final. That's really what matters here.
That's a good quote. I hadn't heard that one before. And Arnie Clayson, unfortunately, with his final stop, is kind of sitting way back to where he's almost lapped, and now he is lapped, actually, as we continue to watch this battle in the mid-pack. Clayson took a very early stop, took his spare car, and that's put him behind Jonathan Reber, who's still continuing on, and will probably give that lap back when he takes a pit stop. But this has been one of the best fights. And not anymore. Benson finally gets over on Schuessler after he makes a mistake in tower.
Yep. I'm sure there's another gunslinger quote I could probably find to apply to that situation. But I got to tell you, watching Benson through there, he was just hassling him, just getting up there and annoying him through every corner, just sticking a nose in here and pushing it there. And that ultimately was the difference, because Benson just wasn't really making the level of mistake that we saw from Schuessler through there.
Did he go through 6 tires or only 4? He lost count. But Chris Schuessler is certainly slipping and sliding around right now. And Lisa Eskridge is going to look down to the inside of him as he goes wide. And there's another one gone. Now, usually you don't change tires here in the challenge class because it's too short of a race. And we didn't even see drivers doing that in 60 minutes previously here on the RSRs. So doubt we'll see him do that, but it does look like the car is getting a little diabolical.
Yeah, and I think a bit of that comes from the lighting up of those tires. We've seen a little puff of tire smoke here and there. Not quite what we saw in the previous race, but this is a much longer race, so you kind of need to make the most of it. By not locking those tires up. They really do hold onto the heat, and you lose traction, you lose speed. So you can't be lighting them up like we saw in that earlier race.
What's impressive, though, is the top of the field's been very clean. We haven't shown them a whole lot, frankly, and the top 7 all have 0X in this race. So they've been doing a fantastic job. That goes all the way from Reber down to Benson, and Benson must have had a 0X then, because he touched the wall, remember, coming through Sunset Bend.
Yeah, that wall touch was light, so sometimes you can get away with just a little kiss of the wall, and it'll let you go. But I thought he hit the inside as well, so that was double lucky on Benson's part. Taking a look here at James Legault from the Central Indiana region. Started 5th, bringing it up to P3, and just kind of holding on to this. He has 12 seconds up to Lervold in front of him. Actually 13 seconds, about 6 seconds back, 6.5 seconds back to Goulet. This is going to be kind of one of those Sunday drive type runs if he's able to hold on to this.
Yeah, the Hoosiers sitting on the podium here, but he's about 13.5 seconds behind Reber. It's been some impressive speed out of our leader today. So not likely to see him take the win unless he gets both cars wrecking in front of him, but he's still doing a phenomenal job. Make that 19 seconds to the leader. He's 13 seconds to Lervold, actually, in second place. Casey McDonald's, remember he was running in second? He still needs to make a pit stop, so while he has been in, actually, it was 36 seconds, did it take? Well, no, it was too early before. He can't have made his pit stop and been in and out. Has he?
Well, there was, like you said, a 36.5-second-ish pit stop. That tells me there was fuel taken on that. So that could be penalty plus fuel and maybe tires. I mean, why not at that point?
I'm checking to see if the car goes up. We can't know if he took fuel, unfortunately, but I'm checking his pit stop here, and no tires. So if he did refuel, he's not going to be able to make it. It's just way too early, pitting on the end of lap 3. Usually these drivers can only go to about 10 minutes to go. So I got to think he needs to come in again, but it will be a quicker splash and dash, though.
But so there is one thing with this car, and I don't know if these drivers know it or can access it, but you have multiple positions of fuel mapping that you can do on this car. So if you are a fast driver, as Casey McDonald quite obviously is with that P2 finish in the previous race and being so close on the qualifying for the first race, I think there's an option there where he would be able to go to one of those lower fuel settings and, being so fast, still be able to work through the field at least somewhat.
Well, it'd be a nice thought, but the sad thing is it's a fixed setup, and you can't change the fuel maps on a fixed setup. So
only brake bias, I guess, right?
Yeah, so I'm sure he was maybe hoping, I could do that, but as soon as he tried, he would have quickly discovered that there's nothing doing there. So he should have to make one more pit stop, but I assume if he did take fuel, it's going to be a much quicker one there, as Jonathan Reber still needs to take his pit stop, but he is way out in front and has been unfazed. He's already got the championship under his belt. He's just been taking a victory lap here tonight.
Yeah, I wonder if he's going to try to pull a max and wait for Lervold to stop so he can jump in and lead every lap, because, let the guys behind you pit first. That way you never lose the lead.
See if he's willing to put one over on them that hard, but he is staying out up to this point past halfway, which we tend to expect for most drivers. We've only seen McDonald in, and Johan Nye has pitted, I believe, within the window, so we should see him be able to make it to the finish from here. But Arnie Clayson as well, I think, will be a little bit tight. I think he might be able to get to the end as we're watching Lervold come up and around into Sunset Bend. Let's see if maybe he tries to do a bit of an undercut. Not that powerful in these cars, unfortunately, so that's why we tend to not see it. Nope, he's going to stay out there in second place.
Yep, and here we are with James Legault. Once again, still sitting there, but at this point now 22 seconds off of Reber. He's 19 just a lap or two ago. So here we are back to P4, Robert Gillet. Now Gillet out of the Northeast region, having a pretty good day, a lot of fun, but this is kind of a lonely race at this point for him. Not a lot going on around him. Also, big gaps to the front and the rear.
Yeah, Tom Crane, the next one behind him there in fifth. But Tom does have some reason to be concerned, because Jeremy Main has been steadily picking away at the gap. He's been consistently faster than him. Oh, except for this lap. Oh, he had a problem of some sort. What happened to Jeremy Main? Because it was 9 seconds slower.
Interesting. Let's take a look at the replay. But I do want to also take a look at Eskridge, because she just made a pass and is about to get repassed. But Main, right there, we've seen the exact same thing from other drivers right at that corner. Everything from nose in to bouncing off the wall. So that makes it tough. Let's see if he's able to recover from that, though.
I think the pass may have been on before that, but now I don't think he's got enough time left to try and chase down Tom. 6 might be the highest we get out of him. It all depends on what the pit stops maybe look like here. Meanwhile, side by side between Lisa Eskridge, it looks like, and Schuessler. Oh, excuse me, this was a replay. So Schuessler gets that, or does he? Lisa, once again, she likes that rim riding. This is usually something we see at Volusia, but okay, wow, and way to the inside there for Schuessler, keeping out of her. She's since lost the position down to the hairpin this lap. Well, she's going to get it right back, actually, because Schuessler just ran into the wall just now. And there you can see her having to chop him off down into turn 1. It's been quite the exciting lap between those two.
Yeah, I think, like we said at the beginning of the broadcast, or at the beginning of this race, right now, this is the time to just have fun. Everything's pretty well set. There may be a little movement here back and forth, but whether you're P9 or P10, P8, P6, it's all kind of the same. You're just out here to have a lot of fun, and I think this pairing definitely is having a blast.
McDonald was doing his best to get back into this thing, but he also just had an off himself through tower. So he found the wall. He's back on the circuit. Oh, we got a lot of cars pitting in. Galay, Crane, Main, Benson, all pitting right now.
Yeah, McDonald nose into the wall right there. Not good. And I would love to rehash your grimacing joke, but I just can't bring myself to do it.
I mean, regardless, jokes aside, it's going to be frustrating for him because he knows that he's fast, and that start kind of just set the tone for his race. Looks like Galay's back out in 4th. Schum, who does still owe us a pit stop, I'm pretty sure, is... no, actually, I said that he took his, I think, within the 30-minute mark. He might not owe us a pit stop because it was 11 laps ago. So that might be close. We'll see. He's taken a pit stop, but it was quite a while ago. Crane is back out, and he sits in 7th. McDonald runs in 8th, but again, he's definitely still needs to stop. And Jeremy Main behind him in 9th.
And that's going to be our leader going into the pits. We'll see if Lervold behind him also tries. Yep, looks like Lervold is going to try to go into the pits. Yep, right at the entry there. And then behind him, we've got Legault. Is Legault going to do the same thing? Legault is coming around Sunset Bend. That was not Legault going by there. We are on board with him now. Looks like, yep, going to nose in. There we go. Hard on the brakes. Get down to that pit limit speed so you do not get caught speeding in pit lane. That is not a good thing to have happen.
Exactly. So all of them taking their service. Jonathan Reber's already out. Lervold just ticking up to 11, 12, 13 seconds. Pretty good stop for him. And he's on his way back into 2nd, as you'd expect. And Legault will take his service. Reber did, in fact, lead that lap and did not give the lead away. So if things stay as they are, he's going to lead every single lap of this last race and really get a perfect score. Although leading every lap doesn't get you any bonus points, but it basically tells you what kind of race he's been running. Schum comes around. Yes, it does. As Eskridge didn't come in.
I think she's been sipping some fuel here. She's been going pretty light. She's had a good opportunity to sit behind some other cars, maybe doing a little bit of lifting coast, but that's only going to get you a lap, maybe half a lap if you're lucky. I mean, a lap would be a lot, especially since we're, about 12 and a half minutes left here. So, yeah, she's doing well to stay out this long. I would expect to see her pit this lap.
Yeah, I would think she'd have to. I hope she hasn't run it one too long here. We're on board with Toby Schum, who's directly behind her. And if she is trying to lift and coast a little bit, surely the 5 is going to be able to make up some ground under braking.
I think the 5 will, and please don't call me Shirley.
Just want you to know, we're all counting on you. Anyways, coming down into Cunningham, let's see. Yeah, I'd say he's gaining under braking.
Yeah, there should be some lifting coast there. Yeah. I mean, she might be trying to sip that fuel. I bet she's low in wanting to jump in there. And to the audience, bonus points if you can name that film.
I would hope they'd be able to name that film.
They better.
as we come into Bishop once again, getting closer, and yet Toby's not been able to make this pass. Gotta think that's going to happen soon if he stays out and she goes in, but we're not certain that that 5 is going to be able to make it to the finish. Oof, way out to the edge there for Lisa. She's pushing it through the corners, and the drivers should probably be in this time. Let's see. Lisa Eskridge has saved some tremendous fuel. Yeah, okay, she's called up pitting. Yeah, radio and the radio has messaged that she's pitting and making sure that she doesn't get hit by Toby Schum, who does indeed stay out this time.
Yep, good job by Toby. Got pretty close there, but that's what you got to do. But the communication there, beautiful, perfectly done. I love it when drivers are able to communicate. And in the meet space when we're racing, you can point, you have signals you can do, and you can see them through the rear window of the car in front of you. Well, not this car, because you can't see through the rear window. But in many different series, you're able to see through that rear window and see where somebody intends to go. Here in iRacing, the wonderful thing is you have the opportunity to jump on that communication. We basically just call it the radio, and say, "Hey, I'm pitting." So that really helps a lot with the communication there.
Yep, I know for some it might seem unrealistic to be able to communicate between the cars, but it kind of takes the place of those hand signals, I guess, in a way, just maybe a little bit more fidelity.
Yeah, and hand signals can vary just as language can, so you know how that goes.
I'm sure there's some ones that mimic some of the things that are said over the radio as well, as we get a battle between Casey McDonald and Tom Crane. But we do think that this 6 car needs to pit in. He's going to, in the meantime, outbrake Tom Crane and take that P6 away. Yeah,
that was a kind of pass you would expect to see from Casey McDonald. Although I'm still concerned a little bit about that fuel. It was, I guess, 3 laps in when that pit was taken. So I think McDonald should be pitting probably within the next lap, maybe even this lap. That would be rough to make it to the end on that tiny little bit of fuel he would have been able to take then.
Yeah, even if he was trying to save in the fashion that we saw from Lisa, it's not going to be too much farther, as it's about 9 minutes to go. So we're looking at about 5 laps left here. Well, actually, it depends on where Reber is. Yeah, I think it's 5 laps left. Reber's on the other side of the track. There you can see our 16 cars all still running. Nobody has DNF'd in this race.
Yeah, and you can even see the pace car right there, PC right there.
Oh, I thought that's where my computer was located.
Oh, well, that may be it. I think you're right. Yeah, that's where it feels like it is sometimes.
As they come down, we're full of bad jokes tonight. I'm sure they'll be glad to be rid of us for the break here as we come through the first corner. Once again, we're going to jump on board with Toby Schum. Still hot on the heels of Robert Goulet after ditching Lisa Eskridge. Toby has quickly made up ground on 4th place.
Yeah, Toby really making a nice run here. Toby is currently up 9 positions, so that's a good run. I think we kind of expected that, a little bit out of position on that last race. So Toby with a live spotter with Jacob Schum as the spotter. So I think that is a huge advantage. Anybody out there racing and you're using the various software packages that are out there to be your spotter, those are great. Those are wonderful, but they just can't take the place of a live spotter. You get so much more information and more analytical information. So I would say if you have the opportunity, definitely use it.
Yeah, and it certainly is something that is widely used at the top level, I can tell you that, of iRacing once you get to those pro class drivers, both here in PCA and as well and overall iRacing and the World Championships. Ooh, somebody have an off here? Is this Eskridge? It is. Oh.
Yeah, keep rooting for her, and she has just some wonderful runs and great passes. And then, unfortunately, every once in a while, something like this happens. It looks like she's coming up into the hotel corner. Yeah, that's what it is right here. Oh, just a little bit too quick on the throttle, and then not too bad. I don't think there's going to be much damage, if any, out of that, except for the loss of position.
Well, she's back on track, and she is in 11th, so she's still running down 3 from where she started Unfortunately, Arnie Clason's had a lot of offs, and did he? Oh yeah, he had another. That's not the track. That was at the runoff for the hairpin there.
Oh yeah, that's a good place to go. I don't mind that runoff there, quite honestly. Look at this. So as you come down here, you go under the Mobil 1 footbridge, and then if you miss this brake zone right here, yeah, that was the wrong set of cones. You want the first, well, right in between the first and second. But look at this. You can just casually run down here, come around the corner, the old way of doing this track, and then power out of here. It's so much safer to be able to do that. I'm really glad the track was reconfigured to do that way back. Was it in the 90s, 80s?
Yeah, it was. I'm pretty sure it was either late 80s or early 90s when they finally changed that. And I do love it. They gave it one of the best corner names I've heard. They started calling it the safety pin, which didn't stick, but I thought that was kind of a cute name, honestly.
Yeah, safety pin, hairpin, which is not really a hairpin, more kind of an opened up safety pin, but also hotel corner. I think a lot of us racers just call it hotel corner because that's the biggest thing you see when you're coming down there.
And I'm sure loudest too, because I bet they party over there. But as they come through the first corner here, Jonathan Reber takes the 3 to go signal there. So just a few more here in the darkness for him to wrap it up with another victory. By the way, we still haven't seen Casey McDonald come in yet. He's trying to stretch it as far as he can go. I'll be absolutely stunned if he does. But, I mean, we've seen incredible things in the past. I just don't know how he'd manage that if he does.
Yeah, that's going to be amazing. Now, Reber is going through that safety pin, and the biggest thing that happens there is right as you come around there and you're heading up towards Cunningham, Collier, and Tower, what the biggest thing that you note from the racing car is not the roar of the crowd or the noise from the hotel. You really can't hear them, but you do smell hamburgers, hot dogs, steaks, everything cooking from all those people on the infield right there. And I can tell you it is incredibly distracting when you're out in the race car hungry after a 3-hour stint in the car. Yeah, that'll get your mind on other things for sure.
No doubt. But as we continue to watch on board down here into the hairpin, Gallet and Toby Schum have been getting ever closer to one another. It's down to 0.7 of a second. He's been steadily chopping away, but he has made a mistake on lap 16 that cost him a little bit. He probably would have been a lot closer here to this yellow and black machine.
Yeah, but this track is about timing. Sometimes you can get too close too soon, and that'll really mess you up. You want to make sure that you close up at the right point. One of those points is going to be coming through Le Mans as you're heading down the Ullman Straight. You really want to get that great launch out of there, and if you're too close going through Gendebien, you're going to be fighting the turbulence off the car in front of you, and you just can't place it like you want to get that dash down the straightaway.
Toby Schum here, as we watch from his perspective, has been hunting that 809, but he's got to cut out the mistakes. He's got to get to the finish quickly. Robert, to his credit, I'm looking at his lap times, are incredibly consistent. The last 4 have all been within 1/10 of a second of each other. That is incredibly consistent. Let's see what this one holds for him as he crosses the line. Much faster, actually. He's been given the hurry up. He was 0.6 quicker than his previous laps.
Yeah, but still about 0.8 per lap slower than Toby Schum. So Toby's really closing this up. I think the pressure is going to start getting noted a little bit wide if you look there. So if we're looking from Schum's perspective on Gallet, you can see that he just missed that apex right there at turn 5. That's an important one to hit because this, again, it's just a straight with a bend in it. You are on the loud pedal the whole time.
By the way, McDonald's went by again, and we're down to 2 laps to go. He's very, very close to doing this, which will be super impressive because that'll be the vast majority of the race. Nobody made it anywhere near on the other end of it to stretching the fuel that far, and he is on the lead lap currently.
I gotta say, a drive like that would be driver of the day for me. Being able to pull that off, being able to use the fuel so efficiently, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Racing is not about speed. Racing is about efficiency. And if you can go from essentially last, I think he was actually last, all the way up to P6 by being super efficient, that's brilliant driving.
Seen that actually, I think Schum has been out longer than him. So we must actually, you know what? I think we missed a pit stop from Casey. I think he must have ducked in at some point in the middle of the race that we didn't see, because Schum pitted 17 laps ago and Casey 15. So I guess he should be able to get to the end. That is just on us, really, for not noticing that maybe he had taken a little bit of a stop, as we are on the final lap now for Jonathan Reber. The gap is up to 11.5 seconds over the rest of the field. It's been an exemplary final few races for Jonathan Reber in Series 10.
Yeah, taking a look at timing and scoring, though, if I look at the number of pit stops, I see Andy McLoone has had 2. Everyone else is on 1. So if we missed it, I think timing and scoring missed it too.
Yeah, that's a good point. Huh. Okay, well, he's gone by the pit entry, so he's going for it.
I'm going with brilliant drive here. This is brilliant.
Maybe he stretched it as far as he could on that black flag and knew that he could get to the end. If so, I mean, kudos. That's incredible strategic decisions in the face of adversity, knowing that he's got to deal with the hand that he's dealt. As flashing the lights, Jonathan Reber already celebrating, coming down the Ullman Straight. Excited that he is not only going to finish on what I think is going to be 4 straight wins between the 2 sprints and 2 feature races in these last 2 events, but he is going to clinch the championship with a race to spare here, as Jonathan Reber is your winner at Sebring in the feature race.
It looks like Lervold is going to bring it in P2. Here we see him coming around the last bit under the footbridge, going to cross that start-finish line. No flashing. Oh, no. Of course, the moment I say no flashing lights, there they go. James Legault coming in P3, I think, as long as we get around the corner. I got to say, you cannot celebrate too soon. I have seen people, both in the sim and in real life, celebrating as they come through Sunset. Sunset has so many bumps in it. You really should never celebrate until you're about right there. That was the exact spot I was going to say. You can celebrate about here, and he nailed it.
Gallet is going to hold off Schum, but I don't think Toby should be disappointed in himself. He was up 9 positions, gaining the most of anybody in this race, and in a phenomenal drive. Yes, he was a minute behind the leader in the end. Casey McDonald has stretched this fuel, and it almost looks like, yeah, he's only going about 114 across the line, so he must have been sputtering.
Yeah, absolutely. That was I hope I got some tailwind at this point when he's going across the line there. Meanwhile, Tom Crane going to come across at a normal speed. Jeremy Main going to make it in P8. Nice run from Jeremy there.
That's about where he qualified in that first race, so I think he did what he probably could have done there in that situation, and shouldn't be too disappointed. Jack Stevenson getting himself 9th, as Benson and Eskridge going to be the next 2 to come across. And the last 2 on the lead lap. Had quite a few cars a lap down in the feature race for this week, despite a long lap. Only 11 finishing all 20 of them. That's going to take us to a quick break for the last time in Series 10, and then we are going to wrap up that Series 10 with our driver interviews as well as the unofficial results, so don't go away yet. that's going to be the case. He's actually got a nose ahead as they come down into the braking zone. He's going to do it the hard way.
If you're a Porsche owner looking for reliable, convenient service without leaving the comfort of your home or office, look no further and take advantage of the Exchange at Home complimentary pickup and drop-off service exclusively at the Porsche Exchange in Highland Park. At the Porsche Exchange, it's all about creating a legendary ownership experience that embodies our guests' lifestyle. Our Porsche service team utilizes cutting-edge technology that delivers a transparent service visit and keeps us in constant contact with our guests. And I can't think of anyone more qualified to work on your Porsche, new or classic, than our Porsche certified technicians. Whether you're a longtime guest or new to our dealership, I welcome you to experience legendary at the Porsche Exchange.
Welcome back to Sebring International Raceway. The last race of Series 10 for the Challenge class goes to Jonathan Reber. He took the pole, he led every lap of both races, and he won in both events as Randy Lervold finished in second behind him, having started from third, and James Legault finished in P3, rounding out your podium for the feature. Robert Goulet was fourth as Toby Schum pitted extremely early and somehow brought it to the finish in fifth, gaining 9 spots. Casey McDonald, despite a penalty, recovered up to 6. We thought he had to take another pit stop, but no, he stretched it as well. Tom Crane was 7th. Jeremy Main finished 8th, and Jack Stevenson 9th, with Robert Benson rounding out your top 10.
P11, Lisa Eskridge. P12, Chris Schussler, having a pretty good race through there. Lots of action. Arnie Clausen in 13th. Johan Nye, 14th. Stacy Iwata and Andy McClune, 15th and 16th, with McClune 3 laps down.
So let's have a bit of a chat with our winner, Jonathan Reber, who really stomped the field in this one. Jonathan, you not only took the pole and both wins, you led every single lap of both races. It looked like you had this one in lockdown.
It might have looked that way. It didn't feel that way. This is, I mean, it was great fun, but this track and this car is brutal. It's kind of the amount of times you just hit a small bump or hit a small curb and heart's in mouth and you're terrified. And then I hadn't really realized when I did it that it would also be dark by the end of it. So I hadn't really expected that either. So bit of a surprise, bit of a surprise.
Well, I'm glad you survived the darkness. Talk about the start of the race, though. I guess, I mean, if you want to be technical, you didn't lead lap 0 because you weren't the first of the line, but that worked out in your favor. Were you a bit surprised to see McDonald just suddenly shoot out in front?
I was, and I must admit, we were just discussing before we joined when we were in the waiting room as to what happened. And I did say, I thought he jumped the start, but then after like 3 or 4 laps, I hadn't seen a black flag message or anything. Maybe I missed one. I mean, I got him back into turn 1, but I don't know if he was then trying to give the place back potentially, which, you know, I honestly don't know. But yeah, he was at least a car ahead of me when the green light went. So I maybe he was trying to make up for a bit, sort of, I think, being caught out a bit in the heat race, because I think he dropped quite a bit right at the start. Maybe he was trying to make up for that, but I didn't really know what happened. Is that what happened? Did he get black flagged for that?
Yes, he got a penalty.
Yeah, okay, that kind of makes sense now. Okay, so yes, that was a bit of a surprise. In answer to your question, that was a surprise.
You cap things off with 2 perfect races between Watkins Glen and here. So, are you raring to go for Series 11? Do you want to keep this train rolling?
I'd love to. I started this season genuinely trying to get into the top 10, hoping to finish in the top 10. So this has been totally unexpected, if I'm brutally honest. So it's been fantastic. But yeah, keep it going if we can. Hopefully with the same group of people. Challenge has been great this season. Like a whole bunch of like really nice people. You know, every time we're having the podium chats or chats in between the races, it's all been, I would say, very gentleman racing, except of course we have a gentlewoman involved as well. So gentle people racing. It's been a really fun and nice experience. So it's been great.
Well, congratulations, not just on the wins, but the championship as well. Anybody you want to thank before you go?
I'd like to thank the Upper Canada region and all the guys in it who help so much for everyone else that's in there. So thank you very much for your help. Last 10th, Nikki Chan, incredibly helpful with some of the hints and stuff that I've had for some of these races. And I think I'll leave it there for now. I've thanked my wife enough times for the swearing so that she can probably deal with it by now. So I think we're good.
All right, that was Jonathan Reaver with definitely one of my favorite thank yous I've heard in a while. As we now head over to Michael, he is talking to Randy Lervold, who took home both a third and a second tonight.
Yeah, first race with a P3, started off P3, and that second race ended up P2. Now, Randy, from the start, when you saw the little jump there by Casey, did you expect that you would be able to sit behind him for so long to help you kind of draft and hold on to what would eventually become P2?
Well, I didn't see the jump. As you saw in the first race, with the three of us, Jonathan, Casey, and I, sort of had a cluster there, and that we started off the second race that way, and I thought the whole race was going to go that way. Then all of a sudden, some number of laps in, he pulls in the pits. I didn't know what was going on the entire race. I think I just found out from James Legault.
Oh, so kind of a surprise, but still a good race. You were holding on close to him there for a while, and then towards the end of the race, somewhat lonely, because it was quite a big gap to Jonathan. He just had a brilliant race and ran away, but behind you, it was a good gap back to James Legault.
Well, it was, and it makes it kind of boring for spectators, probably. And of course, when you're there, you're hoping just to hang on and don't make a mistake.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Mistakes really do cost you. We saw plenty of mistakes from plenty of people throughout this race, but your race, quite honestly, looked quite relaxed, quite chill, and generally mistake-free. How did you pull that off?
You know, practice and realizing that if you just push too hard, it doesn't get you anywhere. And I've had some coaching from Nikki Chan at last 10th. That's helped as well. So.
Oh, for sure. Coaching is one of the best things you can get. It always helps to have somebody take a look at what you do. I, as a pro driver, still use coaches to help me because they help point out things I see. And, 101% is the same as about 85%. Because that extra 1%, you're just over driving and killing the car. Now, we always ask, who do you have to thank for the podium today and the finish of Series 10?
Well, thanks for asking. And really, two people. First off, Doug Atkinson, who runs this whole program, has assembled an army of very talented and dedicated volunteers. It's amazing the work they do and how this program runs. And then I have to thank Nikki Chan for helping me along here. I've been working with them for about, half the season, and it's no question it's improved my times. So both of them, really.
Yep, definitely paid off. Congratulations on the P3 in the first race and P2 in that second race. That was Randy Lervold. Meanwhile, looks like Joe is going to be talking to James Legault, our P3 finisher from the second race.
Indeed. And James, it looked like it wasn't a great start, but then suddenly coming into Sunset Bend, that was quite an impressive move to get a 2-for-1 there.
Oh, thanks. That set up perfectly for me. I was able to hold Arnie next to or behind the car in front of him and get by both of them. And had been practicing getting a good run out of that corner to get down to Sunset, and it really worked out for me.
We were just talking to Randy about that even if you're not battling anybody, this track seems to elicit a lot of mistakes. Did you find it difficult from your end to try and keep out of trouble? Because we certainly saw a lot of other cars that wound up falling by the wayside.
And once I got, I really wasn't even expecting to be here tonight because I have a golf league on Thursday night, but thunderstorms canceled that tonight. So, but I had been practicing just in case, and that really paid off because I was really able to get into a groove, and I don't think I had any incidents in the feature. So, just get in a groove, get in a rhythm. This is a great track for that, and hit your marks, and it was great.
Yeah, indeed. And I can see you're one of, I think, 5 drivers that had 0x in that feature race. Mighty impressive out of you. But what are you looking forward to in Series 11? And who do you have to thank for a nice podium to finish this one off?
I want to thank Chris Braun from Zone 1 and their EDE that they put on. It's really, really helpful. And Chris Pies also, he does a track walk prior to each series race, and they're immensely helpful. And I just have to thank them because that kind of got me up to speed pretty quickly for this race tonight.
Great stuff, James. Congratulations, and can't wait for Series 11.
Thank you. And I'd also like to thank Porsche Exchange for their support. It's wonderful. And you guys for doing these broadcasts. Thanks so much.
Oh, no problem at all. James Legault, your third place finisher, which is going to close us up. And we, of course, want to thank the sponsors as well for Series 10, the Porsche Exchange, as well as Six Sigma Sim Racing for all they've done all season long. Big thank you to the steering committee at PCA Sim Racing, as well as a huge thanks to our team tonight, Michael, Ryan, Cameron, and Dougie, and all the others that took part. There's quite a few of them. DJ, Kenneth Bueno, we got Michael Johnson here, obviously, Joey Atterbury, Rachel Whiteford, and Gary Sexton all helped make Series 10 happen. None of this is possible without those behind the scenes at Podium Esports, Ryan Bauer, Gary Sexton, and John Theodore. Thank you so much for watching tonight's broadcast of PCA Sim Racing. I'm Joe Peak, and I'll see you on the track.